Greetings, everybody. Welcome to I Dream of Indie for a special interview. We're here with the Budget Gamer. The first thing I have to ask you, Budget Gamer, is how did you come up with such a name?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. Do you mind a bit of a rabbit trail?
No, absolutely not.
Go for it. We've got nothing
So,
but time.
so the content on the channel is pretty close to exclusively Nintendo Switch. Like I did some Steam games by developer request. One of them was actually My Big Sister, which was actually really awesome, and I'm glad it came to the Switch. But I was late to the party with the Nintendo Switch. Originally, I saw it and I'm like, with the original commercials, it's like, oh, my friend's called. I'm going to take my Switch. I was like, yay, feed game addiction. And so I really didn't buy into it very quickly. But I've been a console gamer since they came out, with TurboGrafx 16 and everything. And so I got the Switch and I won it from Dave & Buster's for 100,000 tickets. Yep.
Wow. How much money does that equate to, I wonder?
Probably more than a Nintendo Switch.
Probably more than a Nintendo Switch. But if anyone's actually interested, if you get the app, you can get $20 for $40 worth of gameplay. And then if you go on Wednesdays, it's half price games. So $20 gets you $80 worth of gameplay. So I actually got the Switch pretty cheap. But it did take like a year. Anyway, so I got the Switch. I was pretty late to the party. And I think I spent the first week going through the eShop, just trying to figure out what my first game would be. And all the little ones that were like, $1, $2, $3, that I couldn't find anything. I'd Google them, couldn't find anything. It was either raging reactions or like really sketch reviews on Steam about like, I love this game. I'm married to the developer. And so I was like, you know what? I can't find any info. So I'm just going to download the cheapest one. I literally set the filter to bottom of the well up. And downloaded a game. I was like, if there's no info out there, I'm just going to get the cheapest one. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to make a review. And that was how I started. And so my first few reviews, I think, oh man, I can't even remember what my first one was. I remember what it looks like. I remember playing it, but like it was 12 cents or something like that. And so I just went from there. And honestly, some of them have been really great. But I was like, I'm never going to review a game on over $5 unless like a developer sends me a code, and that was kind of it.
That's pretty cool, actually. Very similar to our story in a lot of ways. It was really about finding that soft spot where nobody's talking about these games. Nobody really wants to waste their time reviewing them, quote unquote, waste their time. These games aren't worth it to mainstream media. And I really thought that was a shame. So that's kind of where our concept came up as well. So very similar missions, it seems like. I want to know, though, how did you get started on actually getting into YouTube and learning the mechanics and gaining notoriety?
Okay. That was just trial and error.
That's how it goes, right?
No, it's like, I mean, starting a YouTube channel in, the late, we can't really call it the late 2000s, can we? But like around 2020-ish, I think my channel started in late 2018. It was May 6th was the birthday of the Budget Gamer channel. So tomorrow.
Coming up tomorrow, 3 years then, huh?
Yeah, tomorrow we turn 3 years old.
Wow, 3 years, 12,000 subscribers, really impressive.
Yeah, 12,300, I think, just now.
Big numbers there, so that's...
We managed to become an affiliate in 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But the figuring it out was... the biggest part was just trying to find my format. I knew nothing about lighting, as you can tell from a lot of my early videos. I knew nothing about video editing. I had somebody comment, and they're like, "You idiot, don't you know anything about jump cuts? Why do you use jump cuts so much?" And my comment was actually like, what's a jump cut? So even one of my biggest sources of inspiration for improving the channel was actually the trolls. I have never reacted negatively to a troll or a flamer. And unless they continue on that track, like I'm not gonna, ban them or moderate their comments or anything. Because a lot of them have been like, one dude actually sent me recently, I discovered something new about my own video camera because of him. He's like, why do you record your videos like it's 1996? And I was like, what? And he's like, you use like 12 frames a second for your video. I was like, no, it's a 60 FPS capture. He's like, no, your capture's fine, but your video is terrible. Well, I use this camera and these are the settings. And he's like, do you even know what FPS is? And he just kept going into it. And so I did some deeper research on my camera. I was like, well, if I go down to 720p, I can actually get 60 frames per second for the actual video for the commentary. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, would it be better to be 720p 60 frames per second or 1080p 30 frames per second. And he's like, obviously 60 frames per second. So that was a big change that I made and people liked it.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot by comments like that ourselves because neither of us know what we're doing ever.
Yeah, so that's how I learned about
feel you on
audio
that.
quality and editing and everything. It's been growth, but the biggest part on my side of it was figuring out my format. Like literally how am I going to deliver the content? I don't want to use a term that's so trite, but like what's my shtick? What makes the channel different? How does it address a gap that isn't current? And one of the things was something I get flamed for all the time, which is actually featuring myself in the reviews, almost like it's almost said Steam. No, like it's Twitch. You know, like I'm actually live streaming, and I get trolled for it a lot. I get comments like nobody.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's actually one of my favorite aspects of the channel. It takes a lot of courage to get up there and talk in front of the camera and actually be in the review because we don't do that. I would be terrified. And it sounds like you don't even use scripts. You're kind of talking off the cuff up there.
No, I don't use a script. Nobody believes me. Everyone.
No, they won't believe you. Actually, it's true. We still get accused of it, and we have no scripts. I don't know what's next. They have to check our hard drive or what.
Yeah, I can't even
Yeah,
read.
right?
I don't know about you.
But
No, I've had a lot of people
I find that impressive about Budget Gamer. I certainly couldn't get up there. What could you kind of elaborate on how that works? Are you in front of the green screen? Are you doing the filming separate? I don't really know how you would go about this.
Oh yeah. It's basically the channel takes place in 3 parts. Well, 4 if you want to get like really nitty gritty. First is the game capture, and so I play the game mostly in one sitting, so I get the full experience, and then I mull it over for 24, 48 hours to really think like, how did it affect me? What was the full experience? What do I really feel about it beyond a reaction? Which is where I get a lot of my deeper, more analytical content is not my initial reaction. Because sometimes I go into a game and I'm like, this is trash. And I keep playing it and I keep playing it. And then I'm like, wait, were they trying to do that? And then I can represent it from the dev's perspective. I do a little bit more research, but I always go into games blind. So I do get the reaction. I get the first impression, but then I think about it. And so that's the game capture. And then after I've sat on it for a while and really thought about what the dev was trying to do, what an audience is going to expect, and where the breakdown between them might be, and that's the critique section, then I go in, I kind of like pace around the living room and rehearse to myself a little bit, sit in front of the camera and deliver the content in front of a green screen. And so then it's editing the video, export the video, export the audio, edit the clarity of the audio, and then bring it all back together and edit the game footage in to match what I'm talking about.
I see. I really think that's so much more. It's so much more meaningful when you're just speaking off the cuff like that. You're not reading off a script. You know, I have no real issue with scripts. We don't like them ourselves that much. We don't use them, but I just feel like your personality comes through stronger when you're just talking to the audience.
Yeah.
I tried to. That was a huge growth point, trying to figure out how to do that and not feel mechanical.
Yeah, it's tough.
I said the analytical tone for the channel is like, I want this to be adult. I want this to be for gamers, our era, who are looking at indie games as an art form, as almost as literature. And so I'm delivering it as rhetorical analysis, almost like a literature review of every single game. And that's why I look at expectations and mechanics and genre conventions for everything that I do. But it's like how to get in front of a camera with no script, talk about teachery stuff, and like a robot. That took me 3 years.
So related to that, what of all of this has been the best and worst aspects of content creation for you? Because I know a whole lot goes into these videos. It's not just people think you just get to play a game and then, make videos,
gaming,
but there's so much more to it than that.
Gaming is less than half of the time commitment. I mean, I could play, I've had several games that I played that I think one of them, what is it? Arag was a recent one that came out, the black and white kind of walking sim about, well, I don't want to spoil what it's about. But it was like, what, a 20-minute game?
Yeah. Probably about 3-4 hours of work making the video.
Yeah, at least. It's, it's like 20 minutes of rehearsing, probably 40 minutes to edit the commentary, about 2 hours to edit the video footage, do all the metadata tagging, upload, make the thumbnail. But probably the best thing so far about being a content creator on YouTube would have to be just some of the crazy levels of connection that I get with people I've never met. And, people are like, when they say things like, I would have never even heard of this game, and now it's my daughter's favorite, and I play it with her at night, that kind of stuff. And it's like, this like there's so much life happening, and such a community has been built around the channel. And I don't want to, you know, pat myself on the back for it, but you know, part of my doctoral research was community development and identity development. And so I've instigated that in the channel through communication, through how I poise myself and respond to my supporters and my subs. And it's spawned this like really organic supportive community of people who have the same interests, which is, these are an art form. You don't have to crap all over them if they're not what you wanted, you know? And they support, and like, you know, I get comments that are like, you know, I really hope the developer sees this review because I want their next game to be better. And it's like, whoa, you're like real human beings. The internet's not. And so those are some of the best moments. Some of the hard ones, originally, like even now, I've got my hair pulled back because I'm still the budget gamer. I still got my crazy long hair. But there's a reason I started pulling it back, and that's because honestly, it, you know, those kind of comments got to me. You know, someone's like, "Wow, you must be popular in prison," and expletive, and I'm like,
No, jeez.
"Dude, you don't got to go there, man. That's not cool."
Yeah.
And so that was when I was still developing my own personality, figuring out, you know, because there's like the whole imposter syndrome of I don't have the right to represent this kind of stuff. And so when I was still developing, I was getting some pretty personal hate, and that took a bit, and that was hard to deal with. So there's great moments, there's terrible moments, but overall, it's hard to deny with the sub count and with the comments and with the views and with the types of comments that what I'm putting out has a meaning to a whole lot of people.
You know, I'm always surprised what people that don't even know you are willing to say about you.
Yeah,
Right?
you have to have some thick skin to put yourself on the internet.
Well,
Yeah,
like you were
that's
saying, you
true.
know, the beautiful part about it is how these games seem to bring people together at the same time, and you do build communities and you build really meaningful relationships. I have people that I would call true friends through this channel now,
Mm.
and that's something that I wasn't expecting, because you do hear these horror stories more than anything about toxicity in gaming and such, and that's
Yeah.
a real shame because that's not really how all gamers are.
Yeah, no, I had to take a big break from gaming, and I blame League of Legends. Because a lot of my really close friends, we played it since the first release, way back when. And I was like, you know what? I got friends who play it now. I'm gonna get back into it. It's like 7th generation in, and yeah, no, it was so toxic. Oh my god, like people were evil. And you know, you get into that, and I don't want to blame Call of Duty, because Call of Duty Zombies is pretty fun. But yeah, like there's so much negative stigma, and all gamers aren't that way. Which was really cool to see. I've actually got people, you know, it's funny how many people don't reach out to me, but a lot of people message me on Twitter or through Instagram. I've even got some of my subs, you know, we text back and forth, and they're just like great people. One guy's like, "Hey, I got like 10 million animes on my Plex account. Do you want to share it?" I'm like, "Heck."
Well, that's so nice, though. Build real relationships with people that way. But
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. Yeah, just I do
Yeah.
like the community aspect of YouTube. I think that's the best part of creating here, just building real relationships around our love for indie games specifically. And,
Yeah.
you know, you were really smart to get into this because you're very talented. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but I can't get on camera and do a review like that. I have to be behind my microphone hiding like this. Like, you
yeah,
know.
it
I
takes
think
me
you
about
just
20
practice.
takes.
If you just practice, like I can't do it all in one take. I don't know if anyone believes that I do these in one take. Hopefully you can tell by the sloppy cuts that I don't.
No, nobody's doing it. To my knowledge, nobody can do this in one take.
Yeah.
There's no way to do a 12-minute like analytical critical video 12 in one take. But it takes me probably 20 to 40 minutes just sitting in front of the camera rambling about my actual thoughts, and then just cutting it down to what, you know, as close as I can get to a 6 to 8 minute video.
That's pretty good compared to
Yes.
Silent Signs here, about an hour and a half of just narration. So
There's a lot
Yeah.
of swearing behind the scenes when I'm recording.
Yeah, and if I've got my phone, if I forget to put my phone on silent, and then I get like 20
Mm,
back when I'm trying to record, yeah, there's
yeah.
another thing I want to ask you about your channel before we move into some fun fast fire questions for you is, I noticed watching your last few videos, at least, that you don't really rely on review scores, which is something that I really like too, because I think sometimes reviews are often looked at for the number and not necessarily what the reviewer was saying in that review. And that kind of becomes the topic of conversation. That's something I really don't like about that. So what's your decision there? And what do you think about scored reviews?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're terrible because even I fall prey to looking for a score every once in a while.
Sure.
But I'm not going to use them specifically because I believe you can't quantify an experience. And that sounds all super wonderful, hippie, but it's for a real reason. Is because different people from different backgrounds with different gaming experiences aren't going to view the exact same game the exact same way. I mean, Call of Duty might be the top 10 of every game for certain gamers. I would give it a 1 because I'm not an FPS player.
Mm.
Therefore, like, it's because it doesn't appeal to me doesn't mean it doesn't appeal to someone else.
And that's what I think the number kind of loses meaning, right? Because
Yeah.
games are different to everybody, like you mentioned there.
Yeah, so the number score is basically how it relates to the average stereotypical gaming consumer. And if you're not the average stereotypical gaming consumer, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes and you're like, I like movies that come with a 4, I hate movies that get a 10, then fine, be that way. That's awesome. Like you're an individual. Congratulations. But like when I started reviewing, I didn't really like walking sims. I didn't understand them. I didn't actually really experience them until I played the Switch. I had played cinematic platformers, you know, like Another World, but I'd never played like a walking sim, like Moose Man, you know. And then after I played a few of them, you know, I'd run into games like Journey of a Broken Circle, or I think it's Journey of the Broken Circle. Sorry.
Oh, I love that game, actually. We have a review of that up.
So flippin' moving.
Yeah, really quite a touching game.
Because it's like a lot of games, if they're not gamified hard enough, they lose an audience.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I can just call out the genre expectations early and someone can go into it knowing what it is, every game they play can be a 10, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I don't think I've ever agreed with a human being more than Budget Gamer.
Wow, thanks.
Outside of you, perhaps.
I am flattered.
But seriously, I really do. You're very well spoken, too. I can tell you have the teaching background.
Thanks.
You know, I have quite a few friends that are teachers, and they're always very articulate in their speaking. So I know that teaching background always makes for good speaking skills.
I think we just get made fun of by students enough that we just kind of like roll with it. I'm actually really hardcore dyslexic. I have been ever since I was a baby. Like so bad that when I was little, like when I would read out loud, it would come out completely backwards.
Really?
The first experience I ever had was I think I was in 2nd grade and we were starting to learn how to read. I looked up when I was assigned to read a sentence, and I looked up and everyone was just like staring at me like jaw open, like I was speaking some sort of demon language.
Wow.
It sounded just fine. And to them, like the teacher stopped me and pulled me aside, pulled me out of class. She's like, "What were you saying?" I was like, and then I read it again and she's like, "Nope." And so that plus extreme ADHD, and I'm a rhetorical writing teacher. And so like I teach rhetorical writing with dyslexia and ADHD. And so I tell my students first day of class, I'm like, look, if I can teach this class, you can pass this class. But if I misspell something on the board, which will happen, feel free to laugh, but please tell me so that I can have another opportunity to learn how to spell it the right way. So you just got to roll with the punches, which is, I guess, how I try and go with it.
Yeah, you go with the hand you're dealt, right? That's what they say in life.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for some fun fast fire questions? These aren't
Let's do it. I'll try
gaming
and fast
related at
answer.
all, and then we'll get you out of here. I know you probably want to hit the showers and such. So,
Yeah.
favorite food?
Favorite food recently is because I have swapped over to the keto diet. I'm actually bodybuilding, so I'm trying to lose and build. Favorite food is now dark chocolate with macadamia nut butter.
You know what's interesting about your answer there is I'm actually on the same diet right now just because my doctor told me I had to lose weight. So I've been doing this for like 3 weeks and I'm kind of losing my mind. But
okay, well, if you want to swap some stuff, I've been on it for about 6 months now.
Okay, I'm on 3 weeks.
Steaks are your friend. Bacon's amazing.
I think you've noticed I've been eating a lot of steak. I'm down 11 pounds in 3 weeks. So.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I lost a lot of weight so far on
Good
this diet.
job.
I don't know if I can commit to 6 months.
Look up keto cups. Just keto cups. And they come in all different flavors, whether it's almond butter or macadamia nut butter or whatever. And they are really, really good. And
all right.
Sounds good.
So dark chocolate it is.
If you need a dessert, oh my god, keep them in the fridge. Keep them in the fridge. They're so good.
All right. So favorite movie, I'll give you mine. It's The Crow. What's your favorite movie?
I'm just gonna go straight out, honest answer. 13th Warrior.
13th Warrior. I haven't actually seen that yet.
You should see it. It's based on Michael Crichton's Eaters of the Dead. Antonio Banderas is one of the lead characters, but it's all about basically he was a poet who kind of made eyes at some sultan's harem and got sent off to be the ambassador to the Northlands. And they met a crew of Vikings sailing up the river. And, long story short, he got adopted into their crew to go fight some blight. And it's amazing. It's really intercultural. It wasn't well received when it came out, probably because it was a little too intercultural. Absolutely amazing storytelling.
We'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, add that to the list, Silent Signs, for sure.
Adding it right now.
All right. 5 of your favorite indie games.
In no particular order. Right?
Okay. Thank you for the no particular order thing. One of them definitely top, and I think I said this when I was on Uplink, is Jotun Valhalla Edition.
Okay.
For the storytelling. It actually, when I reviewed it really positively, and I got some comments that were like, this game it's just too empty. Like there's nothing to it. And it's like, yeah, but that's the point. It's a soul character fighting their way through the emptiness of the abyss of eternity to go and find glory. Like it's supposed to feel empty. They did a great job. But again, that's the whole perception thing. Another one would probably be, is this of like games that I've reviewed or just any games of all time?
Oh, it can be whatever you wish. Yeah.
Okay, Chrono Trigger up there, huge. That was probably one of the most iconic like RPG experiences of my early development as a gamer.
Great game.
And so, oh man, I've played that over so many times. Like it was so trippy, like time twisting and alternate endings. And like if you messed up, it mattered. Like well before Fable came out,
Does that mean you're a Chrono Cross fan as well?
I'm a huge Chrono Cross fan.
That's a great game.
I
feel like it's not talked about as much as Trigger, but it is quite a good game still.
Dude, the opening sequence and the soundtrack, like they still bring me to tears. It is so emotional. Oh my! Character development was great. They had real personalities.
Yasunori Mitsuda is one of my favorite composers, so I always love pretty much anything he's involved with. In fact, Xenogears is one of my favorite games.
I have both of the collector's editions that's come out for the Switch so far for Xenogears. Yeah, Xenogears back in the day on PlayStation 1 was huge. Another one is going to be Armored Core, specifically Armored Core 2 for the PS2.
Funny, I was just talking about how I missed that series, and I miss like mech combat games in general.
Yeah, but that one was so good with all the custom creation, and there were so many functions, and it was all organic. Like it felt, there was nothing that was like clumsy on the controller.
It also had some great music, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Common theme here.
Yeah.
Speaking of great music, if you played the original Wipeout for PS1,
great game.
That disc is actually a playable audio CD.
I do recall some of the PS1 games doing that. Yeah. The thing I liked too with back then with Ridge Racer is you could actually swap in your music CD during gameplay and listen to like, I would put in Pearl Jam 10. That was one of my favorite CDs. And I would just I'd be racing along to it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Another one that I don't know how many people even like know about this series, but Monster Rancher.
Oh, great series. Yeah.
Monster Rancher is in my top ever. Yeah. The Stones. It is in my top ever. Oh my God.
It's so much fun just seeing what different combinations you'll get, putting the disc in. Again, going back to Pearl Jam 10, I would always get the purple monster when I put that disc in. And his name was Purple Jam. I can remember very clearly.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's amazing. I liked it. Also, you're right. They had a lot of puns for monsters, like specific bands, like they would come out and be a specific thing. Like I think there was I might be making this up because I played this a long time ago, but a Whitesnake album that gave you a white naga. So it was a white snake. And like somebody in the programming, just like they knew way too much pop culture.
Yeah, clearly somebody was studying like these CDs and what was going to go into them and what combinations. I just think that was really neat.
And it was really cool because it gave you a lot of intrinsic investment, not just, see if you get the best monster, if you could fight the hardest, if you could do the farming sim element, even relationship building in the game. But if you found a disc that you couldn't unlock until you got to S-Class, you were going to be in that game until you got to S-Class. Like intrinsic motivation.
And they made quite a few sequels as well.
Yeah, and like 2 or 3 of them never came to the US. I only found out about like Monster Rancher 4 recently. I'm like, I guess.
Yeah, that did. Actually, I believe that one did come to the US, right? On PS2, I want to say. Or was that 3?
Did it?
I believe so, yes. But I know 2 and 3 were PS1.
We've been proven wrong before. We'll check the internet later.
Yeah, I could be totally off base there too. But I'm sure you're right. There's probably a lot of them that didn't come here.
Yeah, I know that they got one for Game Boy that came out. The Monster Rancher card game. That was
Ah,
actually,
yes, yeah.
that was
Cool
actually
series
pretty
though.
fun.
I'd like to see it come back in some form.
Oh man, I would too.
You know, I
Remaster.
don't know how they would pull it off
Gold.
nowadays because disk drives are disappearing, but
Anything's
They
possible.
could do it with some
QR
other thing. I
codes
mean,
and things,
with
you
yeah,
know?
with all the IR scanners, they could do it with barcodes. I mean, you scan a soup can and you get a monster. I don't know. So let's think. I think I'm up to 4 now.
yeah, I think you got one more.
I think I got one more. All right, it's got to be a good one then. Maybe something obscure.
Ooh.
Hard to pick your favorite child. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, it doesn't
get it.
necessarily have to be your favorite, I guess. We'll just whatever comes to the top of your
Just
head.
5 notable titles.
Now I'm really trying to think. Oh, Legend of Dragoon.
Ah, good game.
Yeah, 4 discs, like 200 hours of gameplay. That was, I think, one of my first JRPGs that I ever got introduced to. Oh man, what a game to wreck your life for the rest of the JRPGs out there. Like, that one will ruin you. It's so good. Final Fantasy Tactics was definitely up there. That got me through my first year of college.
You're definitely a PS1 fan, I can tell.
That was one of my big introductions to gaming. My older brother and I, we had every system, and it was really funny. We had a huge debate, actually a pretty big fight one time. He was like, games on discs are stupid. It'll never make it. Cartridges are the only way. Blah blah. Whatever. He called me an idiot for buying them. And I was like, and that's when we diverged. He went Nintendo, and I went PlayStation.
Wow.
The epic
And so, and now I'm back. So Nintendo, if you're watching.
split.
But yeah, no, I think it was because those were the experiences in gaming when I branched out, like even away from my family, like diverting to be my own gamer. And so they were really meaningful games. I mean, that was, developmental phase of my life as a teenager, figuring out who I was, not only what I liked. And so, yeah, it seems like PS1's made a pretty big impact.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of answers my last
Yeah.
question, but your favorite console?
I'm going to have to say the Switch.
Really? You're going to go with the Switch? Okay.
In all honesty,
See, I
the
thought you were
Switch is my
leaning
favorite console.
PlayStation there. So.
Hey,
No,
told ya.
those are definitely a lot of the most memorable experiences. But as far as consoles go, and I don't know if it's because of the console itself or the way Nintendo's opened it up to developers. Because on the Switch, there's everything you can imagine. And all of those iconic experiences from my childhood are now being developed by people probably my age who played them when they were kids, who are now like, oh, the technology is freely available. I can make the game the way I wanted it to be. And so there's so many amazing experiences, and for like sometimes under $1 that I can relive my childhood, whether it was on the PlayStation or the Nintendo or the Dreamcast or the GameCube. They're all available on this same system. And maybe they're not all 10s, but they're all fun.
Yeah, it's funny, Nintendo is so open to indies now, which is a really wonderful thing. And also just the lack of censorship on a Nintendo console now is really shocking to me because,
I
of course,
know.
famously, they've always censored their games in the past. So.
Sometimes they'll
Yeah.
even take games that Steam doesn't take now.
Yeah.
It's incredible
Yeah,
to me.
Fight of Gods surprised me. It's one that I reviewed back, and I still daily get hate for it because it's really abrasive from a religious perspective. But
We had Crime Opera recently, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was not allowed on Steam, but it was on
Yep.
Switch.
yeah, it's been banned in multiple countries, kind of thing. But
Well, thanks so much, Budget Gamer, for joining us today. Where can people find out about your channel if they don't already know and
Or connect with you.
connect with you? And
yeah, well, there is the Budget Gamer channel. If you search Budget Gamer at all, you're gonna see at least my avatar, if not my face, and you're gonna see a dude who's like this with the long hair.
oh yes,
Because I'm apparently always wearing blue. I don't know how that works out, but it just happens. We're also on Instagram as Budget Gamer and on Twitter as Budget Gamer Chan, and that's short for channel, not because I'm super weaving out as Chan. But yeah, so major media sources are covered. If you want like 1-sentence reviews of games, or even to catch up on the games that I collect, because I have since getting the Switch become a bit of a collector, that's going to be Instagram, or just posts on what I'm playing. It's going to be on Twitter.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for taking some time for us today. And
Oh,
best
of
of
course.
luck with
Thanks
the
for having me.
channel.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Hopefully we come back sometime soon. You're always welcome on our channel, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thanks again for reaching out. This has actually been really fun. I don't get to nerd out this much with very many people.